Now, we move on to the Corruption Reporting Award, which recognises excellence in coverage of corruption in or related to the developing world, including reports that show the toxic effects of corruption on individuals or society as a whole. Transparency International continue to sponsor this important award, which is now in its 4th year. Now, corruption, defined as the abuse of entrusted power for private gain, is a thread through much coverage of the developing world, and indeed the so-called developing world, brought to the fore by last year's Panama Papers. It's an issue that is particularly challenging to report on due to the difficulty in visualising its effect and the often lengthy and expensive investigative work that it entails, not to mention the lawyers. Let's have a look at the nominees.
Al Jazeera investigates. Stealing Paradise. Al Jazeera English.
We have discovered from secretly filmed confessions how men on mopeds delivered stolen money, bags of cash to a corrupt political class.
Mostly the people that I have went and given cash is the most senior members of Yamin's government.
Ahmed Ishfar Ali was part of a front company used to steal government money.
Actually, mostly we don't text. Actually, I just call them and they just tell where they are, and I say just go and drop it.
Anti-graft boss firm received NYS millions. The Sunday Nation.
The loss of hundreds of millions of shillings in suspect tenders at the NYS is one of the major scandals that the EACC is investigating. And although Esaki Limited has not been adversely mentioned so far, the fact that it is owned by the family of the EACC chairman brings up the question of possible conflict of interest. Contacted, Mr. Philip Kinisu said such a possibility does not arise. I declared my interest in that company during my vetting for the job. All this information is there in my annual returns. This company has been run above board by my wife since it was formed. Where is the scandal in all this?
Congo's secret web of power. Bloomberg.
In his only public speech this year, Joseph Kabila, president of the Democratic Republic of Congo, was defiant about his refusal to hand over power when his final term ends on December 19th. I cannot allow the Republic to be taken hostage by a fringe of the political class, he told Parliament last month as members cheered. His presidency had brought peace and economic growth to Congo, the 45-year-old said, outlining reforms he'd made in telecommunications, mining, energy and banking. What he didn't say is how some of his own family members are among the biggest beneficiaries of those changes, including his sister Jeanne and brother Zoe, who both listened from the front row as elected members of Parliament.
To present the award, please welcome the Executive Director of Transparency International UK, Robert Barrington.
Good evening. There are some things I'd like to say about corruption in this country. But I'm prevented from doing that by the Lobbying Act. Ironically, just at the same time that wealthy individuals and companies are making donations to our political parties to try and help the result of the election in their direction. The sad thing is that when the British government does this, it creates the enabling environment for other governments around the world to do similar things, to close down the space for civil society and the media. In Russia, Hungary, Turkey, and elsewhere, Transparency International is finding that there's a concerted move to close down the anti-corruption movement. Our best allies in transparency and fighting corruption are journalists and the media. Tonight's nominees should be celebrated for their bravery, as well as for their storytelling, technical skills and creativity. I'm humbled by the courage of so many people like them around the world. Kenya, DRC and the Maldives are not easy places to expose corruption. Tonight's nominees have done an exceptional job. I'm delighted and honoured to announce that the winner for the Corruption Reporting Award is Stealing Paradise.
begin with a few thank yous. I must thank Will Thorne for being the producer and director on this, to Chris Olivotos and his colleague Manny, who helped with the shooting, to Adrian, who edited the film, and to Phil Reese and Clayton Swisher, who guided it along at the executive level. And I must also thank Zahina Rashid, who features in the film and who was invaluable in helping dig out this information. It's very hard, who now cannot go back to her own country because of this. And I must dedicate this award to Yamin Rashid, who was murdered in April, was one of the country's finest writers, and to Ahmed Rilwan, who disappeared nearly 3 years ago, another journalist in that country. If this film shows you anything, it's that corruption happens everywhere, and it's really important that we continue reporting on it. It's a theft from the people, and it tears apart the fabric of societies everywhere. So keep shining a light on it, and shining a light in the eyes of the crooks. Okay.